Good morning, my dear students. Welcome you all back to our social class. We are dealing with the chapter that is Outcomes of Democracy from Civics. So, this is the last chapter. So, we have seen previously about democracy, how the democracy can be assessed, and how it can be shown as an outcome of democracy, and what are the process through which we can check, and how the democracy is better than the other form of government. And we do blame democracy for certain reasons. What are the reasons we have seen? And we have been seeing about accountability, and in that we saw that the accountability is being done by the government through the process of norms and procedure. So norms and procedure helps us to know the rules and regulations, which is known as norms. Procedure is the steps which are being followed by the government to take an activity, take a measure, or conduct an examination, or conduct interviews. Those things comes under the procedure process. So if you see, even we can know the procedure, how it is happening, what the step. Procedure means what? Step by step process that are being conducted to know, or conducted for the examination, or for an interview, or for some kind of a problem to find out a solution. So those process. Okay, so we can ask the government to give a proper detail about it under the act which we studied in economics consumer right chapter, that is RTI. Do you remember, my dear students? Yes. So this RTI, which is known as the transparency, which is known as transparency, TRANSPARENCE, transparency. That means she or he has the right, and the mean means procedure, process, to know the exam, to know or examine the process of decision making. So this is known as the transparency. So this transparency means you will be able to know what is happening, and the government will give you the idea about it. So this factors that this will be often, you can see, missing in the non-democratic or a dictatorship form of a government, or a non democratic form of an government. You can find this process will be missing, that is transparency will be definitely missing. So what you can see here is, when we are trying to find out something from a democracy, it is the right of the citizens, right? And it is the right to express, or it is the right to expect from a democratic form of an government, and to know the government how it is following its own procedure. That is how the government is accountable. Yes or no, my dear students? So yes. And one more thing we can see here is that we can also expect other things from the government, that is democratic form of government, that is developmental measures that are being taken by the government towards the citizens. Okay, and the measures for the citizens to take part in the decision making. The first thing is measures to develop the citizens. Second thing is to mechanism, or a tool, or an equipment through which the citizens are participating in the decision making. This is another thing. So if we are in the need to measure the democracy, on what basis will do? You would look for the practices or an institution, right, which has like election commission, where they follow proper rules, and free and fair elections are being held, and when we can see public discussions will be done on certain policies, yes, or certain laws. That is where you can find they are functioning. And as I told you already, right to information about the government and its function is the prime duty of the government to provide the information, and it is the practice which a citizen can pursue the information from the government. Okay, so the actual performance of democracy, if you see, it is in the form of a mixed record. It has a mixed aspect, like it is not having a proper idea, or it is not having the proper view. It is in a mixed form, right? Yes, it is in the mixed form. Then if you see, this democracy has a great success in setting up rules and free elections. Okay, and it is also setting up the conditions for the open debate. So it has a condition which is being open for all the citizens to have a discussion about it. Okay, so democracy mostly has a shortfall or a fall shortly of elections that provides fair chance to everyone, and it's subjected to discussion. So now recently what is happening in our nation is we are having the elections, which is at the month of May in, or it will be in the month of March. So the people go on discuss about different leaders, they go on debate about their policies. So all these things are happening in a democratic form of a government, right? Yes. So that is one thing. And another thing which you can see here is democratic government do not have very good record when it comes to the sharing of information with the citizens. So yes, mostly it won't give the proper informations. All one can say is it is favoring of democratic regime is that they are much better. Why they say it is much better means, comparing to dictatorship form of a government, the democratic form of government will give you few ideas, at least few informations will be provided, not the full-fledged informations. Okay, so that is the another shortfall which you can see about right to information. And responsibility, how it is responsive. So if we see how it is responsive, it is expecting from the democracy that the government should have an attentiveness towards the need as well as the demand of the citizens. So when the government is responsive in fulfilling the needs of the citizen, fulfilling the needs of the citizens and their demands, there the democracy is responsive. Okay, ma? So there it is responsive. If it is lacking in that, then it is not responsive at all. So larger area where you can find the responsiveness has gone is the corruption. So corruption, if you see, the nation is filled with corruption. Free of nation, like free of corruption is come, means the nation will be so much responsive. So the record of democracy is not impressive based on the corruptions, right? Yes or no? You all agree with me? Still you can find too much of corruption which is happening in our nation. So democracy, what it does is it tries to project itself as an tool or as a mechanism where the need of the people is fulfilled and often ignores the demand of the majority section. So what it does is it is trying to fulfill the needs. That's the trying to fulfill the needs alone. It is forgetting or ignoring the demands of the majority sections, right? So it is trying to fill up the needs. Whatever is needed for the nation has been given continuously, but we are demanding for the NEET exam to be cancelled. That is not done. Just an example I'm giving. I'm not against these exams and all, but it is been demand of the people, but it has not been given till now, right? Routine tale of corruption which has been continuously persisting in India, and it has an evil aspect in democracy. Yes, so but you can find this lesser corruption is happening in the non-democratic country, that we should agree, right? comparing to the corruption, the nation which is democratic is doing lot of corruption activity comparing to non-democratic government. So there is one more respect which has the government as the legitimate government. It is that the democratic government is legitimate to the government. So if they are saying legitimate, it may take an law or an process in a slow manner, less effective, not always very responsive or clean, but the democratic government is people's own government. Yes, so when it is making a law, when it is making it is an bill to be passed as a law, it takes time, it clears, it is responsive, right? It is responsive towards the people, but it is the own government of the people. That is why you can find there is an overwhelming support. That means too much of support which we are getting from the common people, and maximum of the nations have moved themselves into a democratic form of a government, as they are accompanying the evidence, that is South Asian nations can find they've moved themselves to an democratic form of an government. Yes, yes or no? Yes. So in support of the existing country itself, you see, you can find a lot of the nations started moving themselves into an democratic form of government. Even people wish to have rule by representative, not by dictatorship. So they also believe that the democracy is functioning in a very effective manner. Democracy is having the ability to generate its own support to its own people, and where it can fulfill the needs by very accountable towards the people and responsive towards the people, and making laws by taking too much of process is the democratic form of the government. So decision making is the where you can find it is lacking. None other the area the government is lacking. So this is one thing about the accountable and responsive legitimate. So just in recap, you can see accountable citizen has the right to choose his own ruler, so they have the control over them. Then citizens are able to participate in the decision making. So this is how you can find the democracy is responsive, accountable. Now you have the responsive. The government cares of the opinion. So as we saw, it is trying to fulfill the needs and demands of the common people. That is how it is functioning. You see, legitimate, elected by the people through the elections, and they work according to the constitution, and they take decisions by so many norms and process. Even if it is delaying, it is accepted by the whole nation. So the confirmation of the law or rule will be done by the legitimate parliament. Okay, so legitimate government. Then we have the next topic, that is the economical growth and development. If democracy are expected to produce good government, then it is not fair to expect that they would always produce development. So this is the statement. So this statement will be given and they may ask you questions. Explain detailedly how. Okay, so there is a possibility. So what you will say, if you are looking into an all democratic form of government as well as the dictatorship form of a government for the 5 years, from even you can see 50 years, that is from 1950 to 2000, dictatorship has slight higher economical development. So dictatorship has the higher economical development which had happened, but in democratic form of government not that much higher. A small average development has been done. So then you can find in the inability of democracy to achieve higher economical development yes, it is enable, but it is not too much variable, right? But this only cannot be the reason to decide or reject the democracy. Yes or no? If dictatorship form of government, only the economical growth may happen, but in a democratic form of a government, all kind of development is concentrated, not only the economical importance is given, right? So that is why I told you the economical development has been higher, but not comparatively higher to the dictatorship form of government, but it is not needed to be worried about it, right? So already you might have studied in so many classes and even your previous chapters, like in economics, economical development depends upon the several factors, right? That is population size, global situation, so comparison from one another country, priority adapting their own country. So these are the basic thing that you can see under the economical growth, right? The nation's population and its own global situation, how it is there. So all those things we'll see, right? However, you can find that there is a different rate of economical development that happens between the lesser developed country with the dictatorship form of government and the democratic is negligible. That is, you can find the development of economical aspect happens in the dictatorship form of one government. In overall, if you see, we cannot say that democracy is not having economical growth. It also has the economical growth of its own. So democracy is not to lag behind dictatorship. It is not behind the dictatorship, it is not lacking behind at all, just it is coming ahead, coming behind the dictatorship form of one government. But in the dictatorship form of one government, only the economical development will be the goal. But in democratic form of one government, health of the people is important, need of the people is important, basic infrastructural development is important, education is important. So all those things are being concentrated, only then the economical development comes. So democracy tries to bring lot of development other than economical development also. So significant difference is there in the rate of economical growth between the countries of democracy and dictatorship. It is better to be preferred democracy because, as I told you already, in an dictatorship form of a government, you can find, even if you have your book, you can see dictatorship will provide you like always the rich will be the richer, middle class will be the middle class people, poorer will be the poorer. But if you see democratic form of a government, the maybe 10 years before a person might be a poor person, now he would have come to an average. 10 years before a person might have been and middle class, now he might become rich. So that is possible only in the democratic form of an government. So that is the thing. So that is about today's class, my dear students. Remaining we'll see in the next class. Thank you, my dear students.